Perhaps the most important motif used in Fatal Frame 2 is right there in the name, the Crimson Butterfly of the title. They guide you around the village when you're lost, and the Minakami villagers believe that the twin shrine maidens turn into butterflies to protect the village after they have been sacrificed during the Crimson Sacrifice ritual. But why butterflies? Japan attributes some rather interesting symbolism to these beautiful creatures, so this week, let's take a look at not just how they're viewed in Japan, but also how they relate specifically to Fatal Frame, and why they were chosen for this particular game. As always, this video will be full of spoilers for all aspects and endings of the game. We first encounter a crimson butterfly right at the start of the game, as Mayu wanders off into the forest following one. This small act leads to both Mayu and Mio getting lost in Minakami Village, a location where these creatures have a long, fascinating and tragic history. The twins eventually discover that something called the Crimson Sacrifice ritual used to take place here. During this ritual, the elder twin, by the villagers' reckoning, must strangle the younger. In Minakami, they have long held a belief that twins are actually two halves of the same soul. At birth, that soul is split, but during the ritual, the two halves can unite and become whole again. And when the deed is done, the position of the hands creates a shape from which a crimson butterfly emerges. This symbolizes that the twins have become one again, and it's not uncommon to see this crimson butterfly hanging around the remaining twin until they too pass away, or just fluttering around the village in general, protecting it. Which means that each crimson butterfly we come across in Minakami represents a pair of twins who have successfully taken part in the ritual. The word successfully may be key here, as we discover throughout the game that all of this started with a failed ritual the Tachibana boys took part in. Although Itsuki did actually strangle his brother, their ritual failed. Why? We're told they simply loved each other too much, which is apparently a no-no. And so, because Itsuki loved his brother too much, he constantly laments that he was unable to turn him into a butterfly. And although not technically canon, we can see Mutsuki's spirit in various endings, such as the Promise ending, and the remake's Sprouting Wings endings, indicating that he did indeed not turn into a butterfly. His death was in vain, and it was this that led to the second failed ritual, where Sae was also unable to turn into a butterfly, and eventually Minakami's ultimate doom. But what exactly are these crimson butterflies that we can constantly see fluttering around the village? Well, Makabe surmises that they are Minakami's guardian deities. The act of sacrificing someone or something to a higher power for safety or protection is not even unique to Japan. This is something that has been carried out all over the world and all throughout history. But here in Minakami, once a twin shrine maiden is sacrificed, she becomes one with the other half of her soul, and lingers in the village as a butterfly to protect it. In fact, the Fatal Frame fanbook, which, despite its name, features information directly from the devs, notes that the Crimson Sacrifice ritual acts somewhat like the Kami Okuri ritual, where kami-sama from all over Japan are sent off as they travel to Izumo Taisha in the 10th month of the lunar calendar each year. Meaning, the Minakami villagers view twins as truly divine, and their divine sacrifice is the only thing powerful enough to keep hell at bay. You can even see twin Jizo statues all around the village, further strengthening this belief of twins as divine guardian deities. And it is for this reason that Mayu hobbles after a crimson butterfly at the beginning of the game. It is purposefully leading her to Minakami Village, knowing that it will eventually lead her to her death. But it is, unfortunately, a necessary evil to save the village they are trying to protect. While the butterflies that guide Mio and Mayu on their way seem helpful and benevolent, and in a way they are, they're also leading them so that they can specifically take part in the Crimson Sacrifice ritual. The butterflies know that Mayu has to die, just like they did, so the village can be saved. Mayu has to die so that countless souls can finally move on, so that the hellish abyss can be closed once more, and so that nobody else ends up accidentally wandering into the lost village in the future as well. But why do the sacrificed twins return specifically as butterflies to protect the village? Why was this particular motive chosen? The answer to this is surprisingly simple. For one, butterflies have always represented growth and transformation. They start as caterpillars, turn into a chrysalis, and then finally emerge as a beautiful butterfly. This growth and change is often likened to a woman's growth in Japan, and particularly at coming-of-age ceremonies around the country, you can find numerous young women wearing kimonos that have butterfly designs on their sleeves. These symbolize the final stage of their growth. They have achieved adulthood, and now they too can fly high into the future. Butterflies also symbolize good luck. This is another reason why Minakami views them as guardians and protectors of their village. It's also not uncommon to find butterflies on kimonos designed for wedding ceremonies. These butterflies are meant to symbolize a happy marriage and even prosperity. In some areas, they even symbolize long life, immortality, and even eternal youth. Almost like a young shrine maiden about to enter adulthood, who will now never grow old. But on the other hand, butterflies have also been viewed as messengers of the other side in Japan. This comes from a legend during the Heian period, where a large swarm of butterflies reportedly appeared in Kyoto during Taira no Masakado's rebellion against the capital. Locals believed these butterflies to be a portent of doom. They're also closely tied to Buddhism in Japan, with butterflies thought to carry souls to the Pure Land after death. In some areas, the mere appearance of butterflies can be seen as a sign of death. Contrary to the belief that they represent long life or even immortality, some people believe that a butterfly's short lifespan actually indicates the opposite. Life is fleeting, and so butterflies serve as a warning of incoming death. And so, it shouldn't be a huge surprise to see butterflies playing such a large role in the history and culture of Minakami Village. And, if we remove ourselves from the in-game lore for a moment, Shibata himself also explained his reasons for choosing butterflies as the key imagery for the game. In an old interview with IGN, producer Kikuchi explained Shibata's reasoning. Shibata described the basis of the scariness of Fatal Frame 2's story as the sadness that results when two things that must be together in order to complete a whole are pulled apart. In the case of the twins and the wings of a butterfly, the whole entity is complete only when the symmetric halves are opposite each other. When that symmetry breaks down, tragedy is the result. Butterflies are beautiful, fragile creatures. If a butterfly is missing one of its wings, it's no longer whole. It's broken and unable to function. It will soon die. Shibata then overlaid this same idea onto twins. What if they were also two halves of the same whole? In real life, twins inevitably grow up and go through their own changes, much like a butterfly. But unlike a butterfly, these two halves of the same whole generally split and go their separate ways, leading their own lives in adulthood. When that symmetry breaks down, tragedy is the result. What if twins were actually one soul split in two? Then surely that would mean they are broken until these two halves are reunited, like the beautiful wings of a butterfly that allow it to soar high in the sky. This is the basic idea behind twins and their connections to butterflies in Minakami Village. And indeed, we can see this idea straight up spelt out for us on Sae's blood-stained kimono, where it looks suspiciously like only half a butterfly. Portents of death. Symbols of longevity and good luck. The embodiment of change and transformation. Fleeting beauty that can only soar high when it remains whole and symmetrical. It's for all these reasons and more that we see butterflies playing such an important role in Fatal Frame 2. But what do you guys think of this one? Do butterflies have any special meaning where you live? Are there any other bits of lore you'd like to see me cover from the games? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.